Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to the SoulFire podcast. I'm your host, Tammy Goerke. We're going to talk about all kinds of topics, all centrally focused on inspiring and empowering women, insights, tips, and tools for living life to its fullest. This is going to be a mix of solo chats and weekly interviews with women who are living life their way, whatever that may be, so that you can envision what's possible for you. I Am Inspiring Women is going to be a subsect of SoulFire podcast. Not sure if anybody's ever done that, but this is going to be 2 podcasts in one, so hope you enjoy. We'll talk about the ways to have an attitude that will get you through anything and what you can do to reconnect with your inner child and better manage those reactive emotions. We will discuss how to work through those limiting beliefs and what it takes to be a light in the world. This is a place to discover how other women are thriving in their chosen profession, whether it's an artist, a business owner, an entrepreneur, stay-at-home mom. We'll discuss the real and honest truth about what being a woman means to us. These women talk about challenges and successes, how they deal with the ups and downs of life. These are real women who are sharing their stories so that you'll be encouraged to live your best life. Inspiration, motivation, and transformation. Let's encourage each other. Let's lift each other up. Let's learn and expand our possibilities in this world. Let's share with each other what being a woman means to us. Life is an adventure, and being a woman right now is the biggest adventure of all. Hello, and welcome to episode 9. Today we're going to talk about celebrating your wins. Do you celebrate your wins? I know I don't. I know I am not very good at settling down after I've finished a big project and rewarding myself for a job well done. I have started a project and worked all the way through it, busted my butt, and then as soon as it's done, moved on to the next one. And then as soon as that's done, moved on to the next one. Or even I usually have 3 or 4 projects going at one time. I don't always have one project. But the point is that I don't take the time to celebrate my wins. I don't take time to realize that I've done a good job or even acknowledge that a project has been completed. I just move on to the next thing without even considering the work that went into that past project. And so what I've started doing with the recommendation of a friend of mine was creating a list of rewards. And they don't have to be big rewards. Some things are as simple as a bowl of ice cream. Or, going and, buying myself a special something. For me, it varies. Sometimes it's a pack of oracle cards, or, it's a crystal that I've been eyeing, or, it's an outfit that I've been looking at. But very rarely do I buy myself anything. I'm usually, as being a mom for so long, I usually buy things for everybody else. Take care of the kids first, take care of my husband first. And then if anything's left over, then I'll buy something for myself. And most of the time, 9 times out of 10, there's nothing left over. So I didn't get anything. And so I had gotten into this habit of making sure that everyone else was taken care of, that everyone else had what they wanted. They got their rewards. They got their, new toy, or they got their video games or whatever it was that they wanted. But when it came to a reward for myself, didn't focus on it. I didn't think about it. And so creating this list, I've come to realize how terrible I am at acknowledging my wins, acknowledging my celebration, celebrating my projects that have been completed, and actually taking time for myself and patting myself on the back. And it's not that that's something that is a bad thing. This is not something that, needs to be downplayed. We all do amazing things. And regardless of big or small, if it's for somebody else or if it's for ourselves, we've got to take the time to acknowledge the hard work that goes into a lot of the things that we do. Even if it's something as simple as, start off with something small like rewarding yourself for doing laundry. That's what I had to do. And I get that that's not a win per se, but in order for me to acknowledge the big wins that I had, the big projects that I completed, I had to start off with, like I call it with the kids, filling that bucket. I have to fill that bucket of wins, of small wins, to build my confidence, not confidence per se, but build my self-esteem on acknowledging and rewarding myself on the big wins. And I struggle with it still. I still have a trouble with it. I still, will barrel through 3 or 4 or 5, 6 big projects and not take the time to go, "Oh my God, I just spent 2 weeks working on this project. I busted butt. I got it done." And then I just moved right on to the next thing. I didn't take time to rest. I didn't take time to sit back and acknowledge the work that went into it or anything like that. Now, this is not to say that I don't rest. This is not to say that I don't take time for myself. This is not to say that I don't, meditate and journal and do all those things that I love to do. There's a difference between doing those purposefully as a reward for a job well done, and doing those because those are my self-care. My self-care is top priority in that if I'm not feeling top of my game, if I'm not feeling, all together, which let's be honest, me being all together is kind of like scattered anyway. So, hey, whatever. But if I don't feel like my brain is working properly, and then I take some moments for myself and I go meditate, or I go journal, or I just go listen to some music, or I just go take a nap. That is not the same as rewarding myself for a job well done and taking that reward of a nap. There's a different connotation to it in your mind. And I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds very weird and you're like, okay, yeah, whatever, Tammy, that's not the way that it works. I'm just telling you how I work. For me, if I go and lay down, there are sometimes when I will go and lay down and I'm feeling guilty because I'm laying down, even though my body's exhausted and I'm falling asleep at my desk. I still feel guilty that I'm going and laying down because there's so much that needs to be done. There's not so much that needs to be done. The world is not going to fall apart because I went and took a nap. The world will keep revolving. Sun will still come up. Just because Tammy didn't take a nap, and didn't get this job done or whatever it was, didn't get finished, does not mean the world is going to stop. But in my mind, I feel like I have to finish that project or I have to get this thing done that Roy's asked me to do, whatever it may be. But if I take a nap and it's as a reward for a project that's finished, then that guilt is not there. That feeling of discomfort is not there. So there's a difference in those two rewards, even though they're the exact same thing. I'm taking a nap. Doesn't make any difference. I'm still laying down and sleeping. But because one is as a reward for a job well done, and the other is just because, I feel like I need to take a nap, it doesn't feel the same to me. And so what I've started doing is as I finish a portion of a project, I give myself a small reward. So I may work on a project for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, and then I'll give myself a small reward. So that small reward may be just getting up and going for a walk, taking the dog for a 2-minute walk, or, going and getting a snack to eat or whatever. It's not that it's a huge reward and, this is some astronomical or some outlandish job that I finished. No, it's just me building confidence in myself. It's just me filling that bucket of small rewards that when it comes to my finishing that big project, I'm okay with giving myself a bigger reward. It sounds crazy, I know. But if we don't celebrate those wins, if we don't encourage ourselves to take those rewards, then we don't appreciate ourselves. We don't appreciate the work that we've put into doing things. We don't appreciate the amount of time that it takes for us to do the things that we need to do. And we wear ourselves out. We mentally wear ourselves out. We physically wear ourselves out. And we get to a point where we're no good for anybody. So what is it that you do? Is there something that you do as a reward for yourself? Do you like to go shopping? Do you give yourself a budget and you say, okay, I've got $50 that I can spend, and this is the reward that I get for finishing this project? Do you, say, okay, you love bubble baths. As soon as I've finished all the laundry, I've swept the floor, I've gotten the kids all together and ready for school and out the door, husband's fed, whatever it may be, I can go take a bubble bath. I can spend an hour or so just luxuriating and not thinking about the world. Or, massages or getting your nails done. Two things that I totally don't do, but you may like them. Regardless of what it may be, are you rewarding yourself for the things that you're doing. As women, I think we get so caught up in doing for everybody else and making sure that everybody else is taken care of. We do not take care of ourselves. And part of taking care of ourselves is giving ourselves rewards for the things that we do. And like I said, for myself, I have to start off with the small things, rewarding myself for small things that, most people would be like, you're giving yourself a reward for doing the laundry. Yeah, because if I don't fill that bucket and I don't put in those small wins, Roy always says this. He's like, it's like with the kids. If they're constantly being yelled at and they're not being celebrated for their small wins, how do you expect them to want to have those bigger wins? How can you expect them to want to do the things that you want them to do if you're not encouraging them? So in a sense, you're encouraging yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you encouraging yourself and giving yourself small wins and filling that bucket, giving yourself small rewards, that bowl of ice cream or the, mani pedi or the massage, or, for me, it's taking a few minutes to go down and, go down to the art studio and paint for a little bit, or pull out my crayons and my markers and color in one of my, my journals, or whatever it may be. It's something that is specifically set aside for a reward. So I've got a list because when I first started doing this, I could not think of anything. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I had the hardest time coming up with rewards for myself. And as I got going on the list, and I add things to that list all the time. So if I think of something, oh, I would really love to do this as a reward. And usually, I'll be honest with you, it's something that's self-care, something that I enjoy, that I was doing, but I felt guilty about. If I can put that into a different frame of mind for myself, into a different perspective, and rethink the way that I'm thinking about my self-care and not feel guilty about it, and instead make it a reward for something that I've done, good job, a business, project completed, whatever it may be, then I feel better about allowing myself that reward. And I don't know if anybody else feels like that, but there are times when I feel guilty taking that nap, or I feel guilty going and sitting out in the sun and sitting there for 20 minutes and doing absolutely nothing but daydreaming. Even though I love doing it, I'm a big kid, so as much fun as I can have in my life, as much lazy time as I can have in my life, all the better. But that's not to say that there are not times, and a lot of times, where I used to feel really guilty about doing that. And I don't so much anymore because I specifically make time for me. I specifically make time to do the things that I need to do to fill that bucket. Another thing that I had to start doing was to actually write down the things that I was doing. You can't very well celebrate your wins if you aren't paying attention to what those wins are. So getting a project finished, writing that project down and acknowledging that I actually worked on it. So, my my book, it took me forever. It's not a very big book. It's small, but for me, writing a book was not the thing that I ever thought I was going to do. And it took me a long time. But as I would get a chapter done, I would celebrate that win as I could see that physical thing in front of me. But the only reason I started doing that is because I started writing down in my journal that I'm writing a chapter and this is the win, and this is the reward that I'm going to get for it. It's the same thing with anything else that I do. I am not a bookkeeper. I just don't like doing it. So doing invoices for our business, as much as I hate it, I still need to do it. So for me, I get I get the invoices done and then I give myself a reward. And that reward, like I said, doesn't have to be anything major. It could be just me going out and sitting on the front porch and relaxing for a little bit and regrouping, putting my brain back into fun mode instead of, invoice mode. That being said, it's like, even then I still have to remind myself to pay attention to what I'm doing and not discount that the work that I put into whatever it is that I'm doing is inconsequential and that it's not that important. So whatever it is that you're working on, pay attention. Pay attention to the amount of work that you put into a project. If you're building a business or you're, going to a job and you're working on a project at work, or if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're, you know, cleaning the house and taking care of the kids and doing the laundry and sweeping the floor and cleaning the windows and dusting and oh my God, the amount of things that we do on a daily basis that we don't even pay attention to. And we just assume that it's part of what we have to do. Yes, we do have to do this as, you know, living in this world. We've got to take care of our responsibilities and our obligations, but we've also got to reward ourselves. We've also got to pay attention and take care of ourselves and show ourselves some love. Show ourselves that our work is worthy of appreciation. And who better to appreciate you than yourself? And taking care of, what you do, who better to appreciate you than you? You know what you like best. You know what rewards you enjoy. And so celebrate those small wins. Fill that bucket and start doing the things that you enjoy doing as a reward for the things that you maybe necessarily don't enjoy doing. And that way, that'll also help make those things a little bit easier to accomplish because you are looking forward to that reward at the end. You're looking forward to that, that massage after, working hard on whatever it may be that you're working hard on. And, taking care of yourself is not a bad thing. We are so caught up in taking care of everybody else, we forget to take care of ourselves. So, figure out what it is that your rewards are. Make yourself a list, like I did. Start making yourself a list of all the things that you enjoy doing that maybe what we call guilty pleasures. I'm sorry, but no pleasures should be guilty. They should all be just pleasures. And whatever it is that you may enjoy. That chocolate, that ice cream, that massage, that mani-pedi, that, you know, beautiful dress that you saw, the, hug from your kids, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be something big. It can be something small. Just create that list and then start rewarding yourself for all the good things that you do, for all the projects that you complete, for all the stuff that you do throughout the day that make a difference in someone else's life. Because trust me, as much as you think these things need to be done and they should be done and they ought to be done, you're the one doing them. And if you're not getting thanked and you're not being appreciated, then all the more reason for you to create that list and to reward yourself for the things that you're doing. Take care of yourself, appreciate yourself, love yourself, and celebrate your wins. Celebrate all the things that you are doing in this world to make it a better place because you deserve it. That's the only reason, because you deserve it. So, hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. See you in the next episode. Bye.